Is Ukraine standing on the brink of a major military turning point in the ongoing conflict with Russia? It's a question that's been echoing in the halls of military strategy rooms and political offices around the globe. To truly understand the weight of this question, we must first delve into the current situation in Ukraine and the nature of its conflict with Russia. The Ukraine-Russia conflict, a raw, brutal struggle for power and territorial integrity, has been a persistent thorn in the side of global geopolitics. This is not a recent flare-up, but rather a long-standing feud that has its roots in historical, political, and cultural differences. In recent developments, Ukraine has made significant strides in its military capabilities. The nation is set to receive new air-to-air missiles for its future F-16 fighters. Now, this might seem like a game changer, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Military experts argue that these F-16s would be more effective in fighting off incoming missiles and striking ground vehicles and fortified positions. The F-16, a nimble aircraft with advanced targeting capabilities, is a far cry from Ukraine's current fleet of Soviet-era fighters. The Biden administration has also announced the delivery of AIM-9M Sidewinder short-range missiles and the possibility of receiving AIM-120 advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles. These are significant upgrades, but their effectiveness in a dogfight against Russian fighters is still a topic of debate. The effectiveness of the F-16 ultimately depends on the type of fighter, the right missiles, and the pilot's ability. It's not just about having the right tools, but knowing how to use them effectively. But let's not forget the elephant in the room, Russia. The Russian ground advance in Ukraine is gaining momentum and encircling Kiev. The Russians are using massive levels of bombing, long-range missiles, and troops against the Ukrainian military and civilian population. As Ukraine's military capabilities evolve, the question arises, are we witnessing a shift in the power dynamics of this conflict? Could Ukraine's new military assets be a game changer in this conflict? Let's delve into the specifics. Ukraine has recently acquired new F-16 fighters and an assortment of missiles, significantly bolstering its Air Force capabilities. The F-16 is a nimble, maneuverable aircraft with an impressive fuel capacity, advanced targeting capabilities, and superior electronic warfare capabilities compared to Ukraine's previously used Soviet-era fighters. It's a sleek machine, but its effectiveness in a dogfight depends greatly on the skill of the pilot and the type of weapons employed. Speaking of weapons, along with the F-16s, Ukraine is receiving AIM-9M Sidewinder short-range missiles. These are an upgrade from their previous mid-range AIM-7 Sparrow series. The Biden administration has also hinted at the possibility of Ukraine receiving AIM-120 advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles, or AMRAAMs. These missiles have beyond visual range capability, making them a powerful addition to Ukraine's arsenal. However, it's crucial to note that engaging in a dogfight with Russian fighters could potentially put Ukraine's limited supply of F-16s and trained pilots at risk. The F-16s would likely be more effective in fighting off incoming missiles and striking ground vehicles and fortified positions. They could also be used for defensive counter-air and offensive actions, including protecting Ukrainian cities from threats and conducting close air support. So, while the F-16s and the new missiles are a significant upgrade for Ukraine's military, they alone won't completely tip the scales in this conflict. Their effectiveness ultimately depends on the type of opposing fighter, the right missiles, and pilot ability. It's not just about having the right tools, but also knowing how to use them effectively. While these new assets might not be a complete game changer, they certainly add a new dimension to the conflict. How can NATO and the West tip the scales in Ukraine's favor? This is a question that's been asked by many as the Ukraine-Russia conflict continues to unfold. Let's begin by discussing the military aid that Ukraine has received from NATO and the West. Ukraine's new military capabilities, including their fleet of F-16s equipped with advanced air-to-air missiles, have been significantly bolstered thanks to this aid. This support extends beyond just physical resources, with the West also providing crucial intelligence support and cyber protection. This multifaceted assistance is designed to counter the Russian advance and protect Ukrainian cities from threats. The idea of creating a no-fly zone over Ukraine has also been floated. The implementation of such a zone would require the provision of sensors and weapons to Ukraine, along with more drones to maintain a constant understanding of the airspace. This could potentially limit Russia's ability to carry out bombings and long-range missile attacks, thereby tilting the balance of the conflict. However, it's important to understand that these actions are not without their potential drawbacks. The creation of a no-fly zone, for instance, could escalate tensions and potentially bring NATO and the West into direct conflict with Russia. Furthermore, the supply of high-end military equipment such as F-16s and advanced missiles puts a strain on Ukraine's limited supply of trained pilots and resources. While the West's support has undeniably bolstered Ukraine's defense capabilities, there are other factors at play. The effectiveness of these aid efforts ultimately depends on the type of fighter jets, the right missiles, and the abilities of the pilots. It's clear that the F-16 alone is not a solution for Ukraine, and the type of weapon systems and how they are used are of paramount importance. As we can see, the role of NATO and the West in this conflict is multifaceted and complex. Their support could significantly impact the conflict, but it comes with its own set of risks and challenges. Is Russia shooting itself in the foot, quite literally? It seems that Russia's military prowess is not without its fair share of blunders. In one notable incident, it appears that a Russian Su-35 fighter jet was downed, not by enemy fire, but possibly by its own anti-aircraft crew. This would be akin to scoring an own goal in a high-stakes soccer match, a scenario that no team would like to find themselves in. So what could have led to such a mishap? Speculation points towards issues with Russia's Identification Friend or Foe Systems, or IFF for short. These systems are designed to help distinguish between friendly and enemy aircraft. If there's a glitch in the system, it could lead to friendly fire incidents like the one we just mentioned. The loss of the Su-35, which is valued at $85 million, is not just a financial setback. It's a significant embarrassment for a country that prides itself on its military might. It's like a heavyweight boxer being knocked out by their own punch. This isn't an isolated incident either. Russia's much-vaunted S-400 missile system, which is touted to be capable of shooting down US-supplied rockets, has yet to make a successful interception. One could argue that it's like having a state-of-the-art home security system that fails to stop a burglar in their tracks. Could it be that Russia is hastily implementing untested modifications to counter Ukraine's new capabilities? If so, it's a risky strategy that seems to be backfiring. It's akin to a chef adding untested ingredients into a recipe, only to ruin the entire dish. It's also worth noting that Russia may be reluctant to admit responsibility for these blunders. Instead, they might credit the kills to Ukrainian forces. It's like a student blaming their failing grade on a tough exam, rather than admitting their lack of preparation. These incidents raise serious questions about Russia's military capabilities and strategy in this conflict. It's like a chess player making unnecessary sacrifices, leaving their king exposed. Only time will tell if Russia can rectify these missteps, or if they'll continue to be their own worst enemy. What does the future hold for Ukraine and Russia? A question that resonates in the minds of many as the conflict continues to evolve. The dynamics of the battleground are shifting, with Ukraine's new military assets potentially playing a significant role. The introduction of F-16 fighters, equipped with advanced weaponry like AIM-9M Sidewinder short-range missiles and possibly AIM-120 advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles, could provide a much-needed boost to Ukraine's aerial defense capabilities. However, the effectiveness of these assets is not solely reliant on the machinery, but the skill of the pilots and the tactical application of these weapons. The support from NATO and the West could also have a profound impact on the future of the conflict. Calls for increased intelligence support, cyber protection, and even the creation of a no-fly zone are growing. The provision of sensors, weapons, and drones could help Ukraine gain a better understanding of the airspace, potentially tipping the scales in their favor. The continuous flow of ground systems, including javelins and small arms ammunition, could further bolster Ukraine's resistance. Meanwhile, Russia may need to reassess its strategy, especially in light of recent incidents. The accidental downing of their own Su-35 fighter jet, potentially due to issues with their Identification Friend or Foe systems, has exposed serious flaws in their defense mechanisms. These missteps, coupled with the unsuccessful interception of US-supplied rockets, could force Russia to rethink its approach. However, it's important to note that the future of this conflict is not solely dependent on military power. Diplomatic negotiations, international pressure, and the resilience of the Ukrainian people will play crucial roles in determining the outcome. The future of the Ukraine-Russia conflict is uncertain, but it's clear that the recent developments could significantly alter its course. The world watches with bated breath, hoping for a peaceful resolution that respects the sovereignty of nations and the sanctity of human lives.